What does it mean to be an artist? When I was growing up, I grew up in a really artistic family, or a creative family. And I don't know, every every week something would be made or changed about our house, or projects that we'd be working on. Particularly my brother, when he used to live with us, he used to build these little copper cannons and these really beautiful necklaces. I inherited that dream, I feel. But somewhere along the lines, I think that I learned a different lesson of what art is. It's not about what you want to make or what you feel should be made. It is the lens that I see creation through is through, do people want this? Do people want to buy this? And I think it didn't help coming from a family which often didn't have money. I think that I found that art was a means to an end for me. But it feels like, as I've gotten older, I keep facing this question. What does it mean to be an artist? Because I feel like as I've continued to grow up and I've made art into a career of sorts of mine, that idea of art has to be designed is changing for me, or it has to change, because I feel like you cannot live that way. You have to make artwork that comes from your soul. I was watching the movie Jerry Maguire yesterday, and there was one quote at the end, and it was something along the lines of, if what here isn't working, then this doesn't matter. And I think that really rings true as an artist. I think as an artist, you have a compulsion to make things in a world instead of consume things. And there is a difference between making things to design versus making things to what your heart is saying. But that, of course, introduces many other questions, like, how do you know what your heart is saying? I think that we often don't know. It's very hard to know who we are in life. But I think this is what the meaning of art to me is slowly becoming. I think that art is often going with your feelings without the end goal in mind. I feel like the end goal is, in anything, is often a curse that you have to contend with. Because everything from that point on, once you have this vision of what this thing could be, it becomes a comparison. At every step, you're waiting or only seeing the bad parts in something that you're building. And I think to become an artist or to be a creative person, maybe you have to contend with that. You have to accept to not see the end goal and instead be inspired by the moment, perhaps. I'm not really sure. But how can you know who you are if all you ever do is try to construct it? And I think that's the question that I often face today. It's that, did I make this by someone else's design, from exterior pressure, versus something that I truly wanted? This is particular with identity. And I think a lot of us wonder that today. We feel like we have so much to say, but we don't know what exactly to say except what we've already seen. And that's weird. So I think the solution is to attempt to live life without any goal in mind, to try and be inspired by the moment. This is not something that I'm particularly good at, but do as I say, not as I do, as I attempt the same thing. I think that to be an artist, we have to be willing to fail. We have to be willing to not see the end result. To be afraid of the next moment and not attempt to try to construct something that isn't us, and to discover what is us is by failure. And by following this path where you don't walk any pre-constructed path. Anyways, I hope this was thoughtful or inspiring in some way. I think we can all become better people by trying to see the world through creativity and being artists ourselves. I think that we can all be artists, and I hope that this brings you some thought through the day.